Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Christine Dykman, and I am a career counselor. I walk the gray line between helping job seekers to land the job that they love and helping businesses thrive. Today, we're going to talk to job seekers about networking and the impact networking has on their own job search. What I'm going to do is share my screen with you so that you can see the slides that we are discussing, and that will help you visualize a little bit more of what we're speaking about. So again, networking for a job. If you haven't already watched Job Search 1, Episode 1, that talks about creating a plan, you should do so before this networking video. Why? It'll save you so much time. I don't want you to have to go back and reinvent the wheel and do things again because you watched all of my videos out of order. So to begin with, let's think about applying for a job and an ATS, where your resume goes, the whole process of it. Think of your resume as being in a funnel, as the diagram shows you. If the average job is getting around 200, 300 applications per one job opening, you are competing with 199 other people for that one position. So your resume goes into the big funnel. And as we go down, there are less and less applications. Well, how does that work? Well, many people apply within the first few seconds that a job is posted. And a recruiter will usually look at those first because their job is to get the quickest fill. So if they find the right person within the first few seconds or minutes or even days of that job being out, they may, not always, but they may not look at the other resume applicants. And if you are waiting, then that could be a signal why you're not getting called. So the people that apply to a job first usually get called, just to keep that in mind. The second thing you want to keep in mind is the ATS system. That's the applicant tracking system. It is going through your resume, AI focus, going through your resume, your application, and matching some of those keywords. Now, if you're applying for a job that you have no experience doing and those keywords are not matching, again, keywords from that job description posted are not being found in your resume or your application, you might be discounted for the job. Not always, but sometimes. When we get down lower and lower, say 100 are remaining, 80 are going to be just shut out, disqualified because whatever reason they give, right? Sometimes they'll ask questions. Do you have this degree? Do you have this many years experience? And those are qualifying questions when you apply. So let's say of the 200 applicants, there are 20 remaining applicants when all is said and done. Well, a recruiter is going to review those applicants. You may even get a phone screen that asks you questions from a recruiter standpoint. But he's not going to give all 20 applications resumes to a hiring manager that's hiring for their department. He may only forward on 4, 6 resumes and let a hiring manager take a look at all of those. So 4 or 6 lucky people are going to get through, and the other 200 or so people may not even have a shot. In the end, you have about a 1 to 2% chance of landing a position. Currently, that percent is 0.78%. I've seen it as high as 3%. A 3% chance of landing a job from applying on a job board. So it could be any job board, and there are lots of them out there. But if you're hitting apply, or even the quick apply button, that's not necessarily the way to go if your ultimate goal is to land a position. We know statistics show 85% of people land a job from networking. And networking can be a very scary term, but it doesn't have to be. Think about it from the employer side, the business side. They are hiring in this direction, as we discussed in Job Search 1, Module 1, Episode 1, creating that plan. But job seekers tend to look for a job in the opposite direction. So your goal is to think like an employer. Instead of going to job boards first or ads first, you want to start a little lower on that triangle, such as networking. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Referrals and networking, they're the #1 way for anybody to land a job. There are other ways, and it does happen. But if you want to figure out what is the best use of your time, networking is the way to go. They also have statistics on the length of time for the process of hiring. Referrals have a shorter time frame for a landing than somebody that has applied through a job board, a stranger. 10 days difference. 10 days is 2 weeks. So that's 2 weeks of salary that you could be earning in the meantime. In addition, 67% of employers feel that referrals are, 1, better suited corporate culture-wise, they're a better fit for the company, and they last longer than hiring somebody from a job board. So why wouldn't they depend on referrals and networking to fill job openings from their side? Please keep in mind, I think this is the best advice. It is so much easier to delete a resume from a system, from an email, than it is to delete somebody's face. You can't delete a face. It's going to be a little bit easier to remember. Networking is the way to go because you're putting your face in front of somebody. So, what is networking anyway, other than being a very scary term? Well, networking doesn't have to be. Look at our video down below, right? I love making connections. Well, networking doesn't have to be scary. It's about giving. It's about sharing information. Excuse me, right? Networking all comes down to being a fancy word for adults making friends. Now, you may already have friends. You may have acquaintances, people that you share information and knowledge with, whether it is on a social media platform such as Facebook, in your email groups, neighborhood groups. There could be so much information. Maybe it's a baseball field or at your old job or your new job. Whatever your situation is, you're constantly sharing information. Maybe it's about a new restaurant and their food, good or bad. Maybe it's about a service. Don't go to that car mechanic, but go to this car mechanic. You're always sharing information and networking, hoping that somebody will reap the rewards. That's all you're doing. It's very hard for me to be able to say to you, go over there and play on the slide and the playground with little Johnny and make friends. Johnny's 3 years old. Johnny doesn't know anybody. He's 3 years old. I can't say that, but I can say to talk to people, other adults. is just making friends. So networking doesn't have to be scary. But if you're looking for a position, having that conversation with somebody and building the relationship between the two of you and making it so that they're comfortable referring and recommending you is key. Not about what they can do for you, but what you can do for them. Most importantly, you want to network even when you have a job. Why? Because jobs aren't forever. You're always going to be looking for another job somewhere along the line. If you build those relationships now and keep them going and keep that relationship going so that they're comfortable recommending you, it's not going to be so hard when it is time to find a new job for you. You always want to be networking and talking to people, even if you're an introvert. Most people say networking comes very naturally to extroverts. That doesn't have to be true. An introvert can learn as well, and it can be very easy. It doesn't have to be working the whole room. It could be one-on-one conversations, as long as you're networking always. Keep in mind, your network is your net worth. It's not about money or things or cars or boats or, big house. It's about your circle. All right. Keep your network strong and nurture it. You already participate in networking and you probably don't even know it. Right? So think about it. What do you do on your off time? Do you already participate in phone calls, one-on-one? Maybe it's a Zoom call or a Microsoft Teams call, or it's group. Has that word job search attached to it? Or maybe it's a meetup and you have something in common. Crocheting club, book club, right? It could be anything. You all play the guitar, you like to play the guitar. We are going back to in-person events. Maybe you meet somebody at a club or another venue. Volunteering. How about family events? Barbecues are huge. Do you know everyone there? Does everyone there know who you are and what your ultimate goal is? Finding a job. But do you want any job, or do you want a certain type of job in a certain kind of industry? Do they all know that? Have you had that conversation so they know how they can help you? Think about all the things you already do and maybe just take it a step further. Whether you're networking in person or you're doing it online, there are certain things that you want to keep in mind. You always want to dress one step above the job that you're looking for. People judge. People judge on what they see. Think about dating. Think about being friends with somebody. Think about logos. All of those things. There's a lot of stuff that goes into creating a marketing campaign and a logo. You are that brand. So what do you want people to think of when they see you? Dress that one step above. If you're online, always keep your video on. That way they can see your face and you're not just a blank black screen with a name or somebody's iPhone, right? You want to make sure they can connect with you. After all, when you're connecting, don't you want to know who you're connecting to and what is about that person that you have in common? If you're in person, you want to share your business card and exchange that information. Why? So they can get back in touch with you after the end of the conversation. You want to have an email on there. You want to have your phone number on there or your LinkedIn address so they can connect with you online. If you're doing some kind of online networking, Totally fine. Use the chat box to put all your information in there. Have it ready to go and welcome new connections on LinkedIn. The best way is to ask questions of others, because if you are not comfortable saying anything about you, when you start asking questions and getting information, you can start to have a conversation. And it's much easier for the other person to answer and ask a follow-up question about you. And then before you know it, you're talking. A few words on social media. Well, social media is a form of networking, so keep that in mind. There's lots of different ways and platforms that you can use. Just did some research and we are up to 133 plus platforms for social media. Facebook is still number one, but when you're looking at professional networking and recommendations and referrals and learning, LinkedIn is your go-to platform. So definitely have a LinkedIn profile and actively use it. HR departments are required to look you up on Google. They can Google your name, not to see your Instagram account, but to see if you have an Instagram account or TikTok or Facebook or whatever. They're looking for relevance. They're looking for your subject matter expertise. They want to know if you know how to use these platforms, not what you're saying, but if you have some kind of social media presence. So you don't want to be a missing person on that milk carton. Make sure that your name is coming up on Google. As far as hacking goes, keep in mind, we're all hackable, no matter what. Credit cards have been hacked. Big companies have been hacked. Little mom and pops have been hacked. Everyone is hackable. So we have a cybersecurity video. There's a ton of information on how to keep yourself safe. However, not being on social media is worse than being on some kind of social media. You want to have a Google presence. Before you begin any networking, any reaching out, you want to make sure you have a free professional email address. I have seen everything under the sun, including not having an email address. You don't want to do that because that is a huge no-no, a big mistake. You want to keep it current and relevant. The ideal email address would be your first name, your last name at Gmail. Gmail is the most accepted email provider. And again, it's free. I'm a free girl. I like free. Don't pay for anything unless you absolutely have to. If you're using something older, such as Hotmail or AOL or Yahoo, you will be judged, just like you're being judged on how you dress, how you carry yourself, your professionalism, right? So I tend do not use something that's old. Definitely use something that's new. If you're not using your name and being professional, and you're using something that might be considered inappropriate, such as sexy hot mama 666, or mom of 3 girls, or greatest friend. By the way, they're all real email addresses. People actually have those emails. But what do you think of when you read those? Do you think of a professional that can do the job that's applying, or do you think of something else? You don't even know these people, and yet first thing that comes to mind is probably not professionalism. And that's why I want to use your name. Unprofessional email addresses are skipped over by recruiters 87% of the time. It's free. There's no reason to not have a Gmail account with your professional name. Okay, so keep that in mind as you are beginning your job search. Business cards for in-person networking. Great idea, because you can hand somebody your information and they can follow up with you. It's going to include your name, of course. Maybe your title or your industry would be a great idea, but at the very least, your email address, your cell phone number, and your LinkedIn URL address so they can follow up with you. If you're doing an online networking event through Zoom or Teams or WebEx, you want to have something that you can put in the chat box that's ready to go with all that same information so that people can follow up and connect with you again at the end of the program or when the program is done. Many people ask, how do you introduce yourself when you are unemployed? What do you say at a networking event, right? Well, there's a couple ways that you could do that. First, be proud of whatever it is you are, right? You're not on the couch eating bonbons with your feet up watching TV, right? I am a marketing executive who specializes in the travel industry. You are what you are. Just because you don't work at XYZ anymore doesn't mean you're not that thing. So be proud of what you are and what you've accomplished. You are still the title that you want to be known as. What do you want a stranger to know you as? That's how you introduce yourself. Maybe you're a career changer, or you're not sure what you want to be when you grow up. It's okay. Really not sure myself sometimes. I recently decided to pursue a long-time goal in forming my own business. That person wants to be an entrepreneur. Do you? That's okay. That is awesome. What is it? In what area? We have so many industries and so many areas to focus on. What are they focusing on? Or they're exploring opportunities through their volunteer efforts by doing something that's close to their heart. Is that something that you're doing? Because you are exploring as well? Tell the listener that. Maybe they can even point you in the right direction. You should talk to this person. This person could help you. I'm not really sure, but be confident in what you're doing. Back up anything that you've said with numbers, dollars, or percentages, because that is a big selling point and just gives you a little bit of clout as you're moving through that conversation. Please don't discount volunteering because you're going to meet so many people, but at the same time, it's helping others in your community and around you. It makes you feel so good to be able to do something for somebody else. And at the same time, you're demonstrating your skills and your knowledge, maybe even practicing new skills, or being a part of a committee that you never really worked on before. So you can try things out and add stuff to your resume that you wouldn't be able to do before. Where do you find places to volunteer? Well, COVID-19, all kinds of places are out there now. Why? Because people need help. People need volunteers. Organizations and nonprofits could use volunteers. Please take a look at everything listed below because they are just some examples of places to check out, URLs, right? Don't forget LinkedIn groups, meetups. Meetups are aplenty, right? And volunteering could have wonderful benefits, not only making you feel good, but putting you closer to the goal of finding a job. The best way to find real job openings is to hang out with the people that do what you want to do. Go hang out with them, whether it is through volunteer organizations or a meetup or Eventbrite. People that are good at it, you want to be around them. You want to learn from them. Once they have that conversation and you start to build a relationship, they're going to get comfortable recommending you for a job. You can prove side by side that you can do the work. Don't get imposter syndrome. Don't feel like they're better than you because they have a job, or maybe they are higher up in an organization. They take a shower, get out of bed, put on their pants the same way you do. They're a person. They have feelings and they have families and they have everything else that's going on with all of that, just like you. Be real and they will be real too. Work with only the best recruiters in your industry. Just like you do research on a company about what they stand for and what their corporate culture is and their values and potential job openings, you want to do research on a recruiter. What industry do they focus on? Where do they excel? Do they have recommendations from their clients, job seeker clients, or their business clients? That's a very telling sign about the good or the bad or the ugly of anybody in the world, which is why it's important for you to be on Google as well. The newest thing is posting a video online, whether it's a resume or it's a short and sweet elevator pitch, telling them a little bit about you. 60 to 90 seconds, letting people know that you're out and about and ready to start working again, but most important, that industry. Check out a few videos, just use your search bar in Google and see what other people are saying. Maybe you can replicate it. That'll help you to stand out from the crowd. This is the easiest way for you to access that hidden job market that we often talk about and you probably have heard so many times. Networking is key. People that you are networking with, part of that hidden job market, will keep you in mind for job opportunities that are not even published yet. Maybe somebody within their company is retiring, and because they're still there, the job's not posted yet, but they know that they're going to be filling it. Wouldn't it be great for a business if you could walk right in and do that job without them even having to post the job and put it out there? That's possible. That's from networking. And that's why it's so important for you to talk to other people. Think about personal networks that you already have. We all have family and friends and neighbors, people that support us. The question for you is, do they know that you're in job search? Do they know specifically what it is you want to do, what you want to be when you grow up? Do they know what your radius and salary requirements are? Have you been crystal clear with them so that they can help you and help you in a confident way? How about school alumni? Maybe your book club or your Pilates class. People you know from your children, the baseball field, the soccer field, I don't know. Faith-based associations? Have you thought about that? Again, do they know you are in job search? How about former co-workers and bosses? It used to be a huge no-no for you to talk to them and tell them you're looking for another job. And now it's a huge yes, yes. Things change, and that's one of them. What about volunteering, as we spoke about, veteran groups, that kind of thing. All of these places are potential networking events. The hidden job market, we talk about it and you hear about it so often, but networking is the key. It is how recruiting happens in 2022 and beyond. It's how networking has happened before and how you got a job. Think about your first job or your second job, maybe even your third job. Did you get it because you applied online? Apply. Probably not. Did you get it because you applied through a newspaper, an ad, or a sign in the window? Or maybe that first, second, or third job you got because your aunt said, oh, my niece is, dying to get her first job and she would be so great and blah, blah, blah. How about your cousin or your best friend or, your buddy from the baseball team said, hey, my friend, he's really looking for. Is that how you got that second job or third job? It's usually from networking and referrals. That's how people land. That has not changed in all these years. It's the one constant. You're searching for opportunities, which will lead you to the job. You're not necessarily searching for a bunch of jobs, right? Jobs are filled from those relationships that we have. The referrals, people that are going to go to bat for you and vouch that you're a good person and you can do the job. So show them through your conversation, through working side by side with them, whether it is in a volunteer capacity or a former coworker that has seen you in action. Keep in mind, the more senior the position, the more those relationships really, really matter because the risk is higher and more interviews too. When you are job searching, implement a 15-15-70 program. 15% of your week should be spent looking for jobs. No problem. You can get that job. You're fully qualified. You hit every single bullet. That's 2 hours a week. 15% of your time, making sure your resume is on point, it's up to date, your LinkedIn works, it can be found, they're consistent to the brand that you want people to know about you. But 70%, right? 30 hours a week should be spent talking. It could be on the phone, it could be in Zoom meetings, it could be on social media, learning, talking to people in groups, one-on-ones, but you're networking and building and focusing on those relationships because you never know where it's going to go. Think about splitting your time like that. Your job search is dependent on your belief in yourself and your ability to buy into your own message. If you don't believe what you're saying, how am I, as a listener, going to believe you? It's not so much the activity and the strategy, even though we talk about that. It is more mental and emotional because mental and emotional are going to impact your activity and strategy. Think about it. Ask yourself, what do you need to do to attain your strategic goal of landing a new job? We talked about networking and all of the things that go along with networking. Maybe you just need to focus on one part of this whole networking thing. Maybe it's 2 or 3 things you could really improve upon. What will help you? All of these things are going to help you attain the goal of landing. Some resources that some of this information is from come from these sites. If you haven't been there yet, I would definitely stop and take a look. LinkedIn is the number one source of information. Definitely check it out if you have not been there yet. There are lots of career experts that are giving away free information. They want to help you land in a job that you love. Figure out who those career experts are. Follow them. I've interviewed a lot of different guest speakers that are sharing information about all the different parts of job search. I would definitely follow them as well because they could be an unlimited resource for you. Thank you so much for your time today watching this video. Please check out my other videos and we will talk to you very, very soon. Bye.